Hi, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to make this crocheted cat ear beanie that I recently made. We are going to need scissors, a 5-point crochet hook, and a darning needle, as well as some black yarn and some blue yarn. And for this tutorial, typically you can use any 2-color yarns that you like, or any 2 of your favorite colors you like for this beanie. It doesn't really matter, but I am just using black and blue because those colors will go really well together, but it's entirely up to you. So we're going to start with a slip knot. Just going to insert your hook and pull through. And now we are going to chain 62. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, pull through, pull through, pull through. And now I'll meet you back up when I have 62 chains. Okay, so I now have my 62 chains. So now what we're going to do is, starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over, and you're going to go into that second chain from the hook and do a half double crochet. And this will give you 61 chains in total, or stitches in total. And you're just going to keep doing half double crochets in each chain all the way down until you reach the end. And once you reach the end, you will chain 1 and turn. So go ahead and do your first row of all half double crochets in each chain all the way down. Okay, so now I've finished my first row and I have chained 1 and turned my work. So now we're just going to do half double crochets all the way down until we reach the last stitch, and then I'll show you what to do next. So go ahead and do your half double crochets all the way down until you reach the last stitch. Okay, so I have reached towards my last stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a half double crochet, which is yarn over, insert the hook into the last stitch, and pull through, but we're not going to complete this last stitch. We're actually going to do our color change to our contrasting color, which is this blue right here that I'm using. You're going to put it over the hook, twist the short end this way, hold that with your other finger, and then pinch the end and pull through. And then you're going to take the long strand and just do a chain 1 and then turn your work, and then you're just going to do half double crochets in each stitch all the way down as normal, chain 1, and then do the same thing back for the second row. But for each second row, you are going to be doing color change. So go ahead and do your first row of your contrasting color. Okay, so I've reached the end of my second row of my contrast color. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just drop this one back, and I'm going to pick up the black one, do a yarn over, and pull through that half double crochet. Now make sure your tension isn't too tight, so that way it doesn't end up cinching up like this. So it stays straight, and then chain 1, and then turn your work. And there will be no fastening off for each of the rows. You'll just be continuing of what I just showed you here for every 2 rows that you complete. And the very last, it's going to be 30 rows for each hat, so the very final rows will end up in the main color, which is the color you started off with. So now just do half double crochets all the way down for your first row, chain 1, and then do half double crochets for your second row, but make sure you don't complete that last half double crochet because you will be doing color change every 2 rows for each color. So go ahead and do that. Now I'll meet you back up to show you again how to do the color change. Okay, so I am back, and for the next color change, like I said, every 2 rows you will be doing a color change. So with the black one, I'm actually going to be pulling this up forward because, like I said, make sure your yarn isn't tangled. And we're gonna grab our contrast color, and we're gonna do the same thing, yarn over. Make sure your tension isn't too tight. Pull through, and then just do a chain 1. Make sure that this half double crochet is nice and secure. And then you're just gonna turn your work and just keep doing 2 rows each, and making sure that you do a color change every 2 rows on that very last stitch after when you're done with the second row. And we're going to do 30 rows in total. And you will have a lovely beanie. And like I said before, you do not have to do the colors that I am doing. I just like these 2 colors because they are my favorites right now. But you can choose any 2 colors, but I do recommend using a 5mm hook because it definitely helps with the tension. So yeah, every 2 rows you will be doing color changes, and it will be 30 rows for each hat. You can make it longer if you want. It's entirely up to you. I just do 30 rows because that's how big I wanted it. So I just keep on doing these 2 colors, changing every 2 rows, and then I will show you what we do at the very end. Okay, so I am back with my 30 rows for the cat ear beanie. And so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off. Make sure you leave like a good long strand so that way you can weave in your ends. And then I'm going to fasten our contrast color off. You just gotta weave in those ends right there, and then I am going to show you how I sew the piece together. Okay, so the way we're going to sew our hat together is we are going to do a whip stitch. So at the very end of your hat right here on this end, you're just going to weave in your needle like that. And we're going to be using our contrast color to sew the hat together. So cut off like at least maybe like over 12 inches of your contrast color, so that way you have enough to sew the ends together. Let's go like that. And we're just going to go right in here. And we're just going to whip stitch. And also make sure you do it evenly so that way this doesn't cinch up. So go ahead and whip stitch your hat together. And I'll meet you back up to how we're going to tie off the end. And you'll be finished with your cat-eared beanie. Okay, so I have finished whip stitching my beanie together. So now what we're going to do is you're going to go into this corner here. You're going to go in. And you're going to go through this loop like that to tie up the end. And do that like maybe once or twice. And then you'll weave in your yarn in the stitches underneath this. And then we will flip it inside out, and you will have finished your cat-eared beanie. Go and just cut this off and just flip it inside out a little bit. Make sure to get the corners, get this little ears out. Let's get this, there we go. And there you have it. you now have a beautiful cat-eared beanie. Now, if you like this tutorial and you liked how this went, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thank you much for watching, and I hope to see all your creations. Enjoy!